David, we're live. We got to be efficient today. We can't no fooling around, no tomfoolery.
No wasted shots today, Doug.
No, this is all about on-court
Efficiency.
efficiency.
Get to the line, make it count.
That's right. Or
What's up, buddy?
The three-point line or the free throw line.
Either line.
Good. We've spent a couple weeks away. We apologize for that. It's the off season for us as well. We've had some responsibilities. I had to go to a wedding. I want to talk about that later in the show. We're going to talk about NBA draft first because I know that's what everybody wants to talk about right now because it's coming up. So we'll get to that and a little bit of NBA finals talk. And then I want to talk about a great wedding speech, David. What makes a great wedding speech? Because I had to give one. I felt like it was pretty good.
I might need some pointers. I've got one coming up.
All right, perfect. Let's get into it. This is not a Serious Hornets podcast. I'm Doug Branson, joined by David Walker. We are live on YouTube right now. If you haven't checked us out live, that's where the show always archives. So when I forget to put it on the podcast feed, which sometimes I do, I'm a human being, it will be on YouTube. It does exist somewhere. So just... search for it. It's on our Patreon page as well, patreon.com/Hornets pod. That's where all of our information is. That's where you can support this show. You can also follow the show on Twitter at LOL Hornets. I believe there's a link to the YouTube page there as well. You can find us on all the podcast feeds just by searching This Is Not a Serious Hornets podcast. David, we've got a big show. So big, I can't even get into my thoughts on Too Fast, Too Furious this week. I'm going to have to save it for next week.
Yeah, we've got all summer to do that.
Right, we got a stacked show, and I want to start with the NBA draft coming up. David, we've been away for a couple of weeks now. How do you feel about the Hornets draft position as we speak today?
I feel like more than ever they're in the position to take a big swing on this, Doug. I mean, I don't know why that. I feel like where they're going to be, maybe some of the guys that could immediately help them are likely going to be gone. That's just the feeling I get right now. And even guys like how do you pronounce it? Boot Knight.
Yeah, listen, your guess is as good as mine, my friend. Book Knight sounds great.
I think at one point if he had fallen to them, they'd be happy. A lot of mocks have him going out before the Hornets pick now. So I'm leaning towards just like, let's go all in that this guy probably, more than likely won't contribute next year and be okay with that. Because I think that's how this draft is shaking out.
Or if not, won't contribute at all next year is someone that is not going to be, part of your main rotation, but may feature somewhat prominently maybe towards the end of the year. Maybe spends a little time in Greensboro, but you can at this point, I think, because you have Ball, because you have the centerpiece, you can afford to take a little bigger swing. But then at the same time, David, I get your thought process there, but I'm also looking at the Milwaukee Bucks who just won the NBA championship and saying, hey, is there a Giannis in this draft that's sitting at, 13, 15 in that kind of range that the Hornets could, find at 11. I don't want to totally give up on the idea.
No. But I think you have to bank on maybe finally cashing in on a little luck, right? Like they're due to get someone that maybe they didn't think could contribute as fast that maybe speeds things up a little bit. So I say that just to say I'm just as unclear on who they may get and who they will get as I was when this whole thing started.
Well, David, I think the biggest question right now around the Charlotte Hornets and what is probably messing up a lot of mock drafts right now is will they choose to reach a little bit on trying to fill that center position, because there isn't a player that immediately fits right in that 11 slot that makes a lot of sense. Now, there is this player out of Turkey who is rocketing up mock drafts and big boards named Alpernen Sengun. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that. I hope that's close. But he's a center. He's 6'10", 240, 6'10 wingspan, 19 years old. But this guy, David, is a traditional center. I mean, this guy cannot shoot. Maybe he can shoot one day, but he's not going to be able to come in and stretch the floor. This is a guy with elite skills, but underneath the basket, I'm not sure how big of a defensive presence he can be, which I think that's what the Hornets are looking for in a center, right? They're not necessarily looking for somebody that is sort of a Big Al Jefferson redux. They're looking for someone who can protect the paint, right?
Yeah, I mean that's what they were mainly majorly lacking last year with anybody they had down there. So in one sense, like anybody that could do that would be an improvement, you know. But if that's what I'm kind of afraid of, that they will, but come hell or high water, want to fill that center spot with this draft. And look, I mean, if you're in this draft and it's like, well, if we're going to do something, we might as well try and plug a hole. So I could see it from that standpoint. I just think that they need to take this opportunity to do one of those. I mean, Giannis was a pick like that, you know, certainly a lot of question marks. We always look back at Michael Porter Jr. Not that there's a guy like those two guys in there that we see right now, but if there's ever a chance to take a swing, and I'm still pretty high on a Moody. If they can get a Moody, I think that would be someone who actually could step in and do some things.
Well, Moody, to me, it seems like the consensus between the Kevin O'Connors and the Chad Fords is that Moody will be available. But Moody seems like a guy you're bringing up the draft board and not necessarily lucking into. I'll tell you, I'm still right now, even though he's low on Kevin O'Connor's big board, I'm still leaning towards Jalen Johnson. He right now sits at 12 on Chad Ford's big board. I know Chad's going to update that just in time for the NBA Draft Live show that Locked On is putting on. They're going live from WFAA studios in Dallas, Texas. That's going to be a big event. Have been a big part of the design, so check that out. If you want some alternative coverage, it's going to be Chad Ford, John Corrales, Rafael Barlow, who is like a rising star in the NBA draft analysis game. So check that out on YouTube. You can find that on Locked On NBA's YouTube. There's my Locked On plug. I'm wearing my Locked On t-shirt. I'm really like a billboard on this show. I apologize, but I put a lot of work into this show, and I want everyone to see it. And I know it's going to be good. Anyway, so I said that to say that Chad Ford is going to update his big board, and I don't see Jalen Johnson making like a big move down. Maybe he does, but so he sits there at 12, and I'll give you one. I won't tell you who Walker and Nada selected on Locked On Hornets because that may be on the episode today on Ultimate Mock Draft. So again, one more Locked On plug. Go listen to the Ultimate Mock Draft podcast where Walker and Nada reveal their selection at 11. I won't tell you, I won't spoil it who they pick, but they did not. I will say that they did not pick Jalen Johnson, and I will tell you, Jalen Johnson fell all the way to 20 in Locked On's mock draft. To me, that's criminal. That is criminal.
Well, he didn't play, dude.
I don't. I mean,
he left.
You know who also? Well, so did what was the cat last year who went 3 overall to Golden State? He didn't play for Memphis. So
Wiseman. LaMelo Ball went 3 to the Hornets, right?
Right.
It's not a big deal. It's only the franchise changing. Don't worry about it.
Well, listen, I'm just saying, like, don't let that. I mean, he didn't play. No. It's not that he didn't play because he wasn't talented enough. It's not that he didn't play because he was injured. He didn't play for these weird, reasons that college basketball. But
that's why he's falling, though. That's why he's falling.
What I'm saying is the Hornets have an opportunity to take advantage and get talent that would not have been available to them if Jalen Johnson had, just sort of done what everybody else does and play basketball. Okay, fine. You just want to play basketball.
I think we're in the same mode of thinking with those two guys, though. I mean, and what they would bring to the team, because they're not big guys. They're both wing guys who maybe can get out there, defend on the perimeter, and create some of their own shot, too. I mean, so I think I think Jalen Johnson is a bigger swing. I mean, obviously, Moody, but although Vicini has them mocked 11 and 12, so he's got them right in the same neighborhood. So I think there's just a little more known quantity in Moody, while people are more comfortable slotting him there. But Johnson kind of reminds me, I guess, not Michael Porter Jr. per se. Who was the kid? I don't know. There was another kid who was maybe supposed to go to Duke, played in Australia last year, didn't get much run, but like he reminds me of that guy that slid all the way down. Seems like way back in the first round. But I mean, look, if you're going to take a swing there, I wouldn't be mad at them doing that either. I just don't think they're going to plug that center hole with everything they want, like with a Kai Jones or with.
Okay, I'll tell you. That's one name, and I'm sorry if you hear some background noise or somebody mowing right now. It happens. I'll tell you, one guy I'm not high on is Kai Jones. And I know Charlotte Observer did a write-up on like why the Hornets should select Kai Jones, and I don't buy it. I don't buy Kai Jones. I think that would be if they want to trade back, if they like Kai Jones, then trade back, because I don't think Kai's going 11. I think it'd be a total reach. You can get a few extra second-round picks to get Kai Jones. Kai's raw, man. He's raw, and I question whether he can really defend the rim. Like, great athleticism. You know, I wanted Jackson Hayes last year, and he's sort of maybe a little bit of Jackson Hayes redux. I don't know where Texas keeps finding the same kind of center year after year. But I really have big question marks around Kai Jones. So I hope
that's a trade back move. Yeah. I think you're right. That's a trade back move. I mean, that's a swing you make in the latter part of the first round, according to, most draft gurus. But yeah, that would be something, but that would be in the same line of, hey, we do not expect him to contribute. I mean, but so if you're doing that in the draft, I mean, what are you really doing? Because you'd still have to go out regardless of that and find somebody to play center, right? I mean, that's not going to fix your need.
Would you like some recent history of the 11th pick?
I would.
Okay, well, we know 2020 was Devin Vassell, a guy that we were high on, went to the San Antonio Spurs. 2019 was Cam Johnson, who went to the Timberwolves but played a decent role for the Phoenix Suns, hit some big shots. And then 2018,
much maligned pick at the time, I might add.
It was. Hey, how about Day'Ron Sharpe? Not to get off topic, but he's a little bit of a polarizing pick out of North Carolina this year. People say he can shoot, and that Roy Williams didn't allow him to shoot. Kind of a classic storyline.
Classic.
They usually hear out of Kentucky. It's like, oh, they didn't let him do X, Y, and Z, but he actually can.
Great pre-draft workout from Day'Ron. Yeah, stepping out, hitting those threes. Where is he? I haven't seen. Is he kind of in that back half?
Yeah,
latter part of the first round there.
Right, that's where I've seen him most mocked. Back half of the first round. I haven't seen him really leak into
great hands.
Any kind of lottery talk. Oh, great hands.
Great hands. I definitely. I will say I don't think we saw the whole everything he had at Carolina for sure. I mean, and that's nothing new, but as you point out, that happens a lot even at Kentucky and places like that. So I think he will have some opportunity to show some things.
This one's going to hurt, David. 2018, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That was a selection by the Charlotte Hornets. Okay. Those draft rights traded for Miles Bridges, and Miles, he's on the up. He's on the upswing. If he can stay out of COVID protocol, he's on the upswing. So we're not as disappointed by that, but Shai is certainly showing flashes of potential, all-star brilliance. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Okay, this one's going to hurt worse. I said 2018 was going to hurt. This one's going to hurt worse. Malik Monk out of Kentucky still has not really lived up to the hype, David.
Yeah, a guy that fell, right? And we were pretty excited about on draft night. So watch out for falling stars. Doug is the lesson there.
Well, and that's, I think, I don't want to go that way this year. I think I would rather them reach at this point on a player that they fall in love with that's maybe mocked a little lower than to catch a falling star. I just don't, I don't think that's how I don't think that's how it works. In the draft. They fall for a reason. I've now determined that they fall for a reason.
Right. We've learned the hard way.
2016, here's a great pick here. Domantas Sabonis was selected by the Thunder. Has really been an anchor for the Pacers underneath. And then the Pacers selected Miles Turner 2015. That he could possibly be a Charlotte Hornet. Who knows? Could be a target for them. Trying to fix their center position if they decide there's no one available in the draft. Dougie McDermott in 2014, 2013, Michael Carter-Williams, Myers Leonard at 2012, 11, Klay Thompson, 10,
pretty
Cole
good.
Aldridge. Yeah, until you get to Cole Aldridge, I mean, Malik Monk, I think, is probably...
It's a miss. Probably a swing and a miss.
Yeah, but all of these have been swings and hits. I mean, Michael Carter-Williams was Rookie of the Year at least, and then, has gone on to have a serviceable career. Certainly was a little bit maligned when he was in Charlotte. Then you go back though. Here's a couple misses: Cole Aldrich, Terrence Williams, Jared Bayless, AC Law. Then you got to go back to 2006. JJ Redick. He's had a great career. Franz Vasquez in 05. Other notables: Allen Houston, Robert Ory, Reggie Miller, John Sally, Derek Harper, Fat Lever, Kiki Vandeweghe, Jamal Wilkes in 1974. So there you go. There's your recent history of the 11th pick if the Hornets keep it. And I think that's a big if. I think this could be.
Really?
I think it could be. I think so. If they don't fall, it just doesn't. I haven't heard anything, and typically I just hear something at this point that they've gravitating around one player, and I just haven't heard anything. But maybe I'm just not listening hard enough. I don't know.
It seems like the year to shake things up a little bit. I mean, with so much unknown, and I mean, I still think there's a lack of star power in this draft. I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, even at the top, like I mean, I like Cade Cunningham. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
But that's okay, right? I mean, I don't think the Hornets are looking for. They're not looking for a superstar. I mean, if you get one, great. But you're looking for a number 2, number 3 kind of guy that you can sit next to what you got down the line. So I don't know. I mean, I think the Hornets are in a great position in that if they keep the pick and that they've got a lot of options, and if they trade back, they can pick up some extra assets to move forward.
Assets.
But the thing is that if the Hornets draft anywhere in the lottery in the next couple of seasons, that's going to be a huge disappointment, right? So if things go well for the Hornets, if their plan works, this could be the last time the Hornets are drafting in the lottery for for 4, 5, 6 years.
Could you imagine? I don't even know what a world like that would be.
Well, I'll tell you, and this is kind of a good transition into the NBA Finals talk, is that I was sitting there watching the end of the finals, and I see Giannis hugging Bud and just tussling his hair romantically, and the confetti is falling down, and all I could see, my TV morphed into LaMelo Ball doing that with James Borrego, whatever. Insert whatever Hornets coach ends up being that coach, because it's not. I'm not crazy. It's not going to be next season, but I can see it. It's a vision that I can see. I can see LaMelo Ball sticking with this team long enough to do this. I hope, at least that's in my wildest dreams.
Well, speaking of off-season video workout highlights, I'm sure you've seen the LaMelo highlights of.
He's staying in Charlotte. He's staying in Charlotte.
Staying in Charlotte.
Oh, I love it.
The whole family could be here at any time. Who knows?
This guy's doing everything right. Why is this guy doing everything right? Doesn't make any sense. LaMelo Ball has every opportunity to do something that you go, oh man, like what's he doing? But he's to this point, he's said all the right things. He's done all the right things, and he's amazing on the court.
Quick sidebar: have you seen the promo that Puma put out for his shoe? There's a little teaser of him holding his shoe out. You can only see the bottom, but it's just a little teaser. Have you seen it?
Well, I haven't seen the video. If it's a video, I've seen the image of him holding. I've seen the image, and it says rare.
And he has, I believe, 2 extra fingers. If you look back at that, he's got a couple extra digits on the bottom of his hand, and I think the campaign is. Basically, he's an alien, or he's not from here, or he's different, or he's rare, what have you. So we'll see how. That's one approach. The longer you look at it, the more freaked out you will get.
Yeah, I guess I didn't catch it. Which I didn't
catch it at first either.
Is that a great campaign then? If I didn't catch it,
it looks weird, man.
And if if I saw it, I would go, "Whoa, they really missed on the Photoshop here."
Right. Well, it's one way to go. Let's see where they take it. I'm willing to give them a little leash on this to see how it turns out. But yeah, it's
it's not. But to me, like it's not weird enough.
Man, the longer I'm telling you, those fingers are weird.
All right, I'll try to find.
You got to look at it. Yeah,
we can pull it up. So my question on the NBA Finals talk.
Yes.
Because I mean, congratulations to Giannis. I mean, wow, just sticking with Milwaukee. And just really, I don't know how much it means when you've got all the injuries that happened to Brooklyn and LA. Like, I don't even think Milwaukee's the title favorite next season, but it was emotional. Yes, you seem like you have an opinion on what I just said there.
Well, I just think it's good for the NBA to have Giannis have a title. I mean, he was a star that people were looking to make that jump. He's just a superstar, and so I think it was great for the NBA. I was kind of rooting for him to do that, to have another guy who's on the come up, who can be a title holder. I think was great for the NBA, and the fact that he stayed there is great too. They certainly made some key additions. I mean, Drew Holiday is not nothing, and they've got another All Star in Middleton as well. So, like, they put talent around him, and if they had not done that, I mean, I don't think Bud's there. If Kevin Durant's foot is not on the line and they fall to Brooklyn in some form or fashion, like, big changes were coming. So that's
okay.
that's the thinnest line. That shows you how close things are to going one way or the other.
Okay, I'll tell you. I'm gonna put this image up on the screen.
Yes.
I did find it. Let's see if I can share a Chrome tab here. Nice Kicks Twitter account. And share the screen. Okay, so this is why I didn't.
It was chopped off.
Oh my gosh, what are they doing? You got to understand the format here. That's why I didn't catch it, because I didn't.
I thought Twitter was. I thought it was. I thought they were doing like full blown photos or whatever. Yeah. Go ahead and blow. There you go.
Yeah. See,
that freaks you out a little bit.
Yeah, and that's noticeable. Like, had I clicked through, that's.
And that made my stomach hurt just a little bit, like when they popped up. I mean, because they keep going.
Yeah, that's a little freaky.
Yeah,
we didn't catch that in the scouting report. I didn't see that.
Well, first of all, you're blinded by the smile, the 100-watt smile. You're blinded by the superstar look.
Look at our little Queen City baby.
Look at our guy.
Yeah.
Look, he's all grown up.
I'm so proud. I'm proud to be a Charlotte Hornets fan. It's great.
So let's see where they go with that.
All right. Let's get rid of that. Let's go back to our NBA Finals talk. No, I agree with you. I think it's good. I think it's good for the league, even though they didn't get the ratings of like a Brooklyn, LA final. I think it's good. I think it's good for the league in terms of like their viability in cities like Charlotte. So that kind of leads me into the big question that I want to ask, which is, you've got Milwaukee, you've got Phoenix. Which team should the Hornets find more hope in? Should Hornets fans feel more hope about, Milwaukee or Phoenix?
Yeah, and Tyler Dickerson says Milwaukee gives me so much hope for a small market team. Hope as a Hornets fan is dangerous.
I love danger. I just watched Austin Powers last night. Danger is my middle name.
Yeah, I think you find hope in both, Doug. I think if you're looking at one that's replicable, I still lean Phoenix, just because the depth that they put on their roster and how they did build through the draft, and then finally added that one piece in Chris Paul. Like, to me, you're still banking on a Giannis becoming a superstar, and that's not something that you can necessarily count on, or finding that guy, So, I mean, that seems like it's a little harder. And like I said, like, they were, a game or two from blowing that up in some form or fashion. And they added things to their roster too. But to me, I think if you're Charlotte, you're looking at Phoenix to say, let's build that way, keep adding pieces, keep maturing, make a run in the bubble type scenario, and do it season over season. Now, it took them a while. I mean, I still think it didn't take them forever, but they did have to add that final piece in Chris Paul to kind of push them over the edge. But that bubble certainly helped, playing together, getting those young players in there. Drafting guys like Cam Johnson, right? Putting guys on that roster that could help them.
It's difficult to, and I get Tyler Dickerson's point here, which is that it's difficult to hope around this Milwaukee team, because the big thing that happened for Milwaukee is that Giannis decided not to leave. Okay,
right.
And so that's the big decision that looms. But in order for Giannis to make that decision, Milwaukee had to put some pieces around him, and get him some things that Giannis felt could win a championship. But even after Milwaukee did all of that, this team could have easily lost not only
Yeah.
the finals against Phoenix, but had things broken several other ways. They were not a finals team. And so that's the thing. Even if you do everything right, if you're Milwaukee, you got to get a couple of breaks. If you're, if you're Toronto, when Toronto won their championship, they were one crazy ass Kawhi Leonard bounce shot on the rim away from not winning that title, which makes, it makes winning an NBA title so special. Even though I think people are gonna be on both sides of the Milwaukee championship. Some people are gonna be, asterisk because the injuries, and some people are gonna say, hey, he stayed there and like drug this team to the championship. So actually give him 2 asterisks and also say that it was an amazing championship, So but it makes it so special that they won it. I think you find if you want to hope more, you go with Milwaukee, because you say, hey, it is possible for a small market team with the right type of personality. And honestly, I don't know that LaMelo is that type of personality. I don't know yet. I think it's too early to tell. Is he going to be the kind of player that says, hey, I'm loyal to this franchise as long as this franchise is loyal to me? Or, and I'm not putting a value judgment on this, David, or is he the type of player that we've seen more often with like LeBron and other different players who say, I'm okay with exercising my individuality and my power and going where I want and doing what I want because I'm good enough to do that, and then going and win a championship that way. I just think it's 2 different types of personality, and we just don't know where LaMelo falls on that spectrum yet.
Well, and does this Giannis, scenario change the minds of people? Does that create a new wave of a new pattern for superstars in the league? Is it like, oh man, that is pretty cool? Giannis stayed there. Look how much they love him. Look at the roots he's laid down there. Like, does that change? Because when LeBron started it, I think KD did it, and not knocking it, but like that was just the thing to do for a while. Will this be the new thing to do? Will it be the new thing to do to stick it out and to stick around and to take your shot?
I honestly doubt it. I honestly doubt it, because I just think, and I'm going to go right back to the point I just made. I just think that Giannis is a different kind of dude. And it probably has to do a lot like any kind of, we're shaped by our story. We're shaped by our environment. We're shaped by the way we were on the come up. And, Giannis kind of plucked out of obscurity, was playing soccer in Greece, and someone said, hey, you actually look like you could play basketball. Let's try this.
Bring your brothers. Everybody come on.
We're all going, baby. So like LaMelo, completely different circumstances. He was somebody that has been in the spotlight and has been on this trajectory essentially out of the womb. And so, and I'm not, again, I don't know that means that LaMelo is just going to be someone who says, oh, well, I can go wherever I want. I'm good enough. I can go to New York and go to LA and go to Miami and go somewhere where I want to play and do what I want, not really care about being loyal to the team that, it's just a different, I don't know how that's going to pan out, but that's going to be where your hopes either get rewarded and you think back, if we're talking 6-7 years ago, we're all going to think back to the Milwaukee piece and go, oh yeah, that's our path now. Or we're going to think, damn it, that's not what's going to happen now. And we just have to live with that.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think obviously Brooklyn is looming. It's just so much dependent. I mean, I get the injuries this year, but injuries are going to happen. I don't know if we'll see them happen at the rate they did this year, but like I don't put an asterisk on what Milwaukee did at all. Luck happens every year. But yeah, running into Brooklyn with just Kevin Durant certainly helped, and things happen. I mean, the bubble was their own thing. Like you kind of put these seasons together in my mind, just running through the bubble this whole offseason, cramming the season in. It's been nuts. It's been crazy.
Now listen, the most fortunate thing that happened in Milwaukee was not injuries to Brooklyn. It was not injuries to Los Angeles. It was the fact that they got to play against Devin Snooker, who is back on my list.
Oh my God, you're back on that.
He is back on my list, buddy. In fact, the biggest, You know what's the saying? The biggest lie the devil ever told is that he didn't exist. That's Devin Booker. That's Devin Snooker to a T. The biggest snooker he ever snookered is when he snookered me into thinking that he was, going to be this transcendent player that could finally take his team to the final. No way. Like, it just is choker. He's not clutch. He couldn't do it,
dude.
No, he's a game. No, listen. Devin Snooker is a game 1 and a game 2 kind of guy. He's not a game 3, game 4, game 5, game 6. And
well, not yet.
Not a game
yet.
Oh, not yet. Give me a break. I mean, when? If not now,
I think he's got it in. I mean, his face was broken. Look, he's just I think you got to give Drew Holiday obviously a lot of credit. He made his life a living hell for that entire series. But no, Booker changed my mind, I think, in some form or fashion over the last year and playoffs.
Great, look, if you're great, you always get schemed against. I mean, that's
true.
It's not anything.
That's
new.
True. That's true. I think the Kobe stuff was ridiculous. I think he tried to downplay that too. That was just like, nonsense. Any comparison on that level is it's so funny. I'm sure you saw these if you watch any of these or on Devin Booker is Harden without the handles. Says Anime King. Harden without the handles. I mean, Harden's pretty good. That's an interesting one. But no, when they're doing the Kobe comparisons, they like found a video of a clip of Devin Booker shooting a turnaround shot to play it against Kobe's turnaround. It looks nothing like it, but like, look, hey, they both shoot turnaround shots. Let's compare.
I think what AK is saying there is that he's Harden in the sense that he just completely falls apart.
Gotcha.
When the spotlight is brightest, when the heat is on, Devin Booker that away. And you certainly, I mean, he got totally frustrated at the end of that game 6, and he just completely lost composure. Look, it's rare. I mean, it's rare for players not to do that. That's what makes Giannis so incredibly special. Is that when it got realist, you still couldn't stop Giannis, and they tried Phoenix tried everything.
Well, that was just that was brute force. That's what was so impressive.
Because of Booker and because of Paul, also kind of fell apart there at the end of the series. One guy we're not really talking about at all is Ayton, who I thought got Ayton up.
Exhausted.
I thought he got
exhausted.
He got. I mean, he was getting blocked. He was getting dominated around the rim. And I don't know. It's just so funny. I mean, he was a number 1 overall pick, and somebody that we're just not even mentioning really in our analysis. It's just crazy to me.
Going up against Brook Lopez for an entire series is no joke. He is a large man, and Giannis too, right? I mean, look, I think he was just worn down completely. But I kind of liked Ayton too. I mean, I thought he showed some flashes of doing some good things across the season and the playoffs. But yeah, just completely wore down. You looked at that game. That was a great game 6, by the way. Great end to the finals. And Giannis was just not going to be denied. They could not do anything with him. And he was also hitting, a couple turnarounds, hitting a few jumpers. And, of course, the free throw line was huge for him. So that was just great to see for him. The Suns did fall apart a little bit, Doug. You're right. I mean, you hate to go back and put that label on Chris Paul because of all the great things he did, but man, I mean, that is a bit of a pattern. I think he's fantastic, ultimate point guard, but in that scenario, you can't turn the ball over like that. You do have to step up and maybe talk Devin Booker off the ledge, bring things back together. But I think it just got away from him.
Great ACC.
I mean, do you think
here?
Oh yeah.
Great ACC comment here from Tyler. Not mad that CP3 didn't win. Still haven't forgotten the elbow to Julia. Yeah, listen, CP is one of those players, like, you either love him for everything he does or you hate him for everything he does. He's just, he's that kind of cat, man. Kobe was that way. You either loved him or, didn't love him. What were you going to ask?
Do you think this is the beginning of something sustainable for Phoenix, though? Because, I mean, you have to look at that run they made, the players that were out, the team against the teams they played. That's no small, that's not insignificant that they didn't have to face Anthony Davis, maybe Jamal Murray, somewhat less so, but certainly Kawhi. Chris Paul isn't getting any younger. He's definitely coming back.
Well, maybe. I mean, I think he has a big decision. I wouldn't say it's a given that he's absolutely going to come back. I mean, there's a lot of money in coming back, obviously, and taking the player option. But I mean, Chris is his own dude.
Yeah. Are you saying he's retiring or not to Phoenix?
No, not to. Yeah, I mean, he could not go to Phoenix.
Yeah.
Now, there's, because he's like the player association's rep, there's a lot at stake. He can't take a pay cut. But I would say this, like, I think the biggest mistake that Milwaukee or Phoenix could make at this point is to stand pat. Is to say, well, Phoenix. If you're Phoenix, well, we were a couple of breaks from winning the championship. Or if you're Milwaukee, saying we're the lead dogs, we got it. We're the defending champs. No, you can't do that. You've got to understand that. Hey, to a certain extent we got here because we did the things we wanted to do, but to another extent we got here because there were some breaks, and we've got to figure out how do we win in a scenario where there aren't breaks.
Yeah.
Right. So I think both of those teams have to reevaluate things and say what worked and what didn't work and what can we add.
What if they just blew it up like the Mavs did?
I don't think
we got ours. We got ours. We're good.
Well, no, I don't. I think that would be a mistake for Milwaukee. I think that would be a mistake. Maybe Phoenix, if you say, okay, because I think Phoenix is I think Milwaukee has a few little issues they can solve. They need a little bit more offense. They need a little bit more shooting. I think you can build around the edges. For Phoenix, I feel like some of their issues are just more core issues. Like, I'm not sure that team is really ready to win a championship.
Yeah.
And we're talking about under circumstances where there's a LA that's fully stacked and a Brooklyn
Nuggets,
and Clippers. Yeah. Well, hell, we don't know what's going on with the Clippers at this point with Kawhi's injury.
Never do. Well, yeah, and to your point though, Milwaukee was trying. I mean, think if they had Bogdanovich on that team as they did for, I don't know, a day or two until that trade was whatever happened was nullified, canceled, whatever. But yeah, so I mean, they were actively looking to do things with that roster last year. So it seems like they'll continue to do so. But if you added a guy like that on that team, I mean, I think that would really fill them out too.
Tyler says, one Brook Lopez, please. I'm going to assume that's advocating for Brook Lopez to find his way to Charlotte, maybe.
I'll take either one at this point, to be honest. Either Lopez.
Give me Portis. Give me Crazy Eyes Portis, man. I love that dude.
Oh, man.
I love that dude's whole vibe. It was funny. You remember in that last game where he got a call against him. It was kind of a ticky-tack call, and he did this weird march up the court and got teed up for it. Yeah. Sprinted up the court. That his players were trying to calm him down and say, "Hey, this is not the kind of time to get a tee." And you could see his mouth. I read his lips, and he says, "I gotta be me." And I just
listen. You gotta let me fly, bro.
Exactly. There's something inside of players like Bobby Portis that you're just not. You can't change.
Well, you got to have that. I think you got to have that on that.
Yeah. If you changed it would destroy him as a player.
But that's, he wasn't doing a whole lot for this team, certainly all the way through the season, I don't think. I mean, and wasn't as pronounced as he was late in the game. So it's just crazy how that stuff works out. But I think in that situation, especially in those make or break, pressure situations, you never know what's going to happen to someone. And for someone who maybe just, not that he doesn't care, but you need a crazy guy every once in a while.
Everyone that's in the chat right now, I just want you to rapid fire. Give me names. Give me multiple names that you want to see in a Hornets uniform from the NBA draft, not free agency. We'll do that. I want rapid fire. Give me as many names as you possibly can, and I'll flash them on the screen as we wrap this show up. But I do want to go to a non-serious topic, which is this wedding that I went to. It was a fantastic wedding. I was selected number 1 overall. I was the best man. So wow, really quickly, David, I want to get the measuring tape out. I want to get our wedding stats out on the floor. What are your wedding stats right now? Groomsman, best man.
I've been a groomsman. Oof, man.
Oh man, that signal. When someone says "woof," oh man, a big number is coming.
I mean, it's at least 6 or 7, I think,
Oh,
groomsmen
7 rings.
appearances.
You've got 7 rings.
And then
How many finals MVPs do you
I
have?
see, I don't most of the weddings I've been
7
in,
rings.
the dad has been the best man, when available, so that
It's
happens a
always
lot.
an issue. It's always an issue
Yeah.
because dad is being a best man when you're a friend is like being a role player and sneaking in a finals MVP because the dad is the superstar for most people.
Right,
You've
right.
got to really like you've got to hope that the dad relationship has not been quite, you know what I'm saying, like a superstar didn't.
Yeah.
It's like when Steph Curry. So that's it. That's a perfect example. When you're a best man as a friend, it's like Andre Iguodala getting the Finals MVP. Because Steph just didn't have a great finals. So that's what you got to hope that the dad. I mean, maybe you don't hope for it, but that's what that's not the right way to think about it.
Sorry about your dad, man, but
sorry that you
best
and your
man
dad
nod.
didn't have a great relationship.
Is he here or is he
Thanks for the Finals MVP. So yeah, how many do you have? Do you have a Finals MVP?
No. No. But I mean, I tell you what, I've got one coming up in August, and this will be like coming out of retirement. This will be like Jordan returning to the court. This will be like, anyone coming out of retirement after a long layoff. I don't know. I don't know I don't know if I still have it. I don't know if the dance moves are still there. I don't know if the speech is still there in the back pocket. I mean, there's just a lot to figure out in a short amount of time.
Well, I'll tell you, I am a 5-time. I have 5 rings, and I have 2 Finals MVPs.
Wow!
And I've got an opportunity.
I'm not surprised at all.
I got an opportunity coming up. One of my friends is still yet to be married, but he's got a great relationship with his brother. But I think I've got a shot at a 3rd Finals MVP. Maybe I'm not going to put any pressure on him, but I may have a shot. You do what you want to do.
Start sowing those seeds now.
I'll definitely get my 6th.
Strife.
I'll definitely get my 6th, and we've got a little girl on the way. But if I ever have a boy on the way, then I have a possibility of getting
guaranteed.
my third Finals MVP. So we'll see. We'll see how the career shapes up. But right now, in great position. I'm a Hall of Famer. You get 5 rings and 2 Finals MVPs.
No doubt.
You're in the zone. So I had to give a speech, and so you got to give a speech in this upcoming wedding. Is that what you're saying? You need some pointers?
Yeah, I need to refresh. And this one's a little different. A lot of times coming up along the way, you're well on both sides of the aisle. So both rosters. This one's a little different.
Yeah, that's always a good advantage to have if you know. I didn't know in mine. I didn't really know the bride very well, and I didn't know the bride's family at all.
Yeah, so that's where I am on this upcoming one. So, you got to take the temperature of the room.
So we're going to answer this question because I want to answer every question on this chat to encourage people to chat. So I'm going to give you pointers in just 1 second, but really quickly, flash answer here. Trade proposal, blasted throne, great trade proposal. Terry Rozier and the 11th pick for Miles Turner and bringing back Jeremy Lamb. Yes or no right now?
God, that's a great one. That's a great proposal.
Do it. I don't know if Indiana does this. I'm going to go no. I'm going to say no because I'm not. And I was going to talk about this in depth on the last
Jeremy
show.
Lamb is I'm really hanging on that Jeremy Lamb.
I'm not as big on Miles Turner. I don't think Miles Turner is the answer at center. I think he's better when he plays power forward. You actually need a good center. He played better this last season when Sabonis was playing well. Mm-hmm. So that's my big hang up with I think if he's your center, you're in trouble.
I think if you're trying to fill your hole at center, you exhaust all your options in doing so, and before giving anything up. So I would
yes or no.
No,
okay.
no.
Sorry, Bless.
I like the proposal though.
It was it was well crafted. I'm not going to slam my phone down, but I am going to politely wish your family well, and then hang up the phone gently. Okay. So back to this thing. Yeah, it's great if you know both sides, but if you don't, here's my key. When I go to a wedding, I'm like a scout. I'm talking to everybody in the pre-events. If there's a dinner beforehand, if there's rehearsal dinner, obviously.
Engagement party, rehearsal dinner, you got everything. Use everything.
Right. Use everything. I talked to the mom, I talked to the dad, I talked to both parents, and I'm like, hey, what were they like growing up? I'm looking for stories because I've got my skeleton heading into the wedding of what I want to say. But then I'm looking for moments where like I can take a story that mom told me and attach it like Velcro to the story that I have. And so I did that with this wedding. I said, I made a point about my friend who made me the best man. He's a little different. He's just a goofy, quirky kind of sense of humor is sort of, you either get it or you don't. And that was part of my speech. And the people that love him really get his sense of humor. And his mom told me like he was the first kid that kind of did what he wanted to do. He was marched at the beat of his own drum. So I was able to sort of work that in. And when you do that, David, when you work in one of those stories, you get the crowd on your side because you're involving the parents.
Yeah.
If you're the best man, I would always encourage you to begin your speech immediately by thanking each side of the family, the parents who have made the weekend possible. Because again, you from the jump, you get the crowd on your side. If you start with some funny story,
you gotta say thanks. Yeah, you gotta say thanks.
Gotta say thanks. It's so key. And if somebody beats you to the punch, I don't care. You do it again, and you do it even bigger.
You can't do that enough. And I'll say this, Tyler, in the chat, tip, do not improv the best man speech. So I'll get from Crash and Burn and still hasn't recovered. You got to have a skeleton. You got to have something that you're drawing from. You don't necessarily have to have the whole thing written out. That's more of a style thing, but you got to have some points that you're going to hit after you kick it off, thanking all the families and commenting on what a lovely weekend it is. I will say this. If this happens, and it doesn't always happen, if this happens and you have not gone yet and someone has crashed and burned, grab the microphone. You want to follow in that wake. You want to be the next guy up.
Oh, yeah.
After someone has crashed and burned, you want to put those
sometimes
flames
there's
out.
a strict schedule, and that I had to close. I had to close the whole thing. And when you're closing, I'll tell you this, make it quick, because when you're closing, everyone has one thing on their mind. I'm hungry. I want to drink and I want to eat. So if you're best man and you're closing things, keep it snappy. Do not have a long speech, 5 minutes or less. And we were sitting at a long table, so that's great because I could put my notes down on the table. Everyone was like, "Oh, you memorized your speech." I'm like, "No, I just had my notes like kind of down, so you kind of take that momentary look down to kind of make sure you're in place." And then one final tip for you, David, because I know you got to get out of here and we got to get out of here. One final tip. You need one moment. People will remember different things about your speech, but you need one moment that you can get the whole crowd behind you. So whether it's a story, something has to anchor your speech. If you're just going up there improvising or sort of shotgun blasting different moments or stories, forget all that. You need one moment. You need one line.
Yeah.
My line was, I knew that for my buddy Matt, I said, I knew that a person that could fib that poorly, you could trust with anything. And that line killed. And I knew it was going to kill. And so you need that one line, that one moment. And that's what will anchor your entire thing.
That's a good one, man. I wish I could have been there for that. Any video? Do we have any video we could post?
Maybe. I don't know if anyone, I did. Yeah, that'd be funny if I took selfie video. Like, guys, I got to film this. This is going to be really good. Just wait. You really set expectations from the jump. Real quick, thoughts on Sengun. Yeah, we gave, AK, thanks for the comment. We gave these earlier in the show, but I'll give them really rapid fire right now. Sengun is a traditional center. He's a guy that's got, great footwork, could be sort of a small Al Jefferson, essentially. He's not going to shoot at all. Maybe he learns that down the line, but it's a long-term kind of project thing. He's not the answer immediately at center. I think if he's there and the Hornets decide to go that way, I would be slightly disappointed, but not like, devastated, because I think he's going to end up being a decent player.
Yeah, I'm still looking to stock those wings, if at all possible. I wouldn't mind taking a swing there, Zaire Williams, something like that. But Moody, I think, is still my guy.
Swinging a wing.
Swinging a wing.
There's a global wing shortage right now. I don't know if you've heard. Chicken wings. We went to a bar in Ohio, couldn't get chicken wings. Sign on the door said global wing shortage. It's a crisis out there, folks. Stay safe, stay careful, and if you find a place with chicken wings, order them because they're a delicacy. All right. Thank you for joining us on This Is Not a Serious Hornets podcast. Thanks for everyone that joined the chat. You can join the chat by catching us live. If you subscribe to us on YouTube and then set your notifications to on, then you know when we go live, because we're a little bit goofy these days in the off season because it's summer. We're all over the place. But thank you for joining us. Thank you for supporting us on Patreon. It really does help keep this podcast going. Thank you to my co-host David. For David, I am Doug, saying go Hornets, go America, let's swarm Charlotte.